Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Necrons. We've got another unit review for you today. This time we're going to be looking at one of the epic heroes, none other than Orikan the Diviner. I'm going to go through his data card, do all that kind of stuff, go through the Planet 40k rating at the end of the video. So just make sure you are subscribed to not miss out. In fact, we're going to be putting out some bat reports very shortly. I've already got one filmed. It may even come out before this video. I'm not entirely sure what the order of things is going to be. But we are starting to do battle reports. There's going to be some changes coming up in the upcoming months as well to the channels, so just look out for that. Not going to go into too much detail at this moment. So before getting into today's video, guys, we do have a sponsor for the video, and it's Legion 3D Prints. They've got an Etsy store, so their store will be down in the link in the description down below. And they've provided me with some basing stuff, or for Necrons really. The first one I want to show off is the Nano Scarab Seeklings. Don't know if this is coming out clear on the actual camera or not, but basically that's what a normal scarab base looks like. These are like mini baby scarabs that you can put on your bases, whether it's your Scorbate Destroyers, your Canoptic Wraith. You've got these little mini scarabs running around and you can stick them on the bottom, which looks really cool. They've also provided me with a load of skulls, miniature skulls pack. So if you wanted to get hold of a load of 3D printed skulls, and they look really cool to be honest with you, you can get them. Something else that's very Necron-like is these clear emerald clusters. Now they're on both sides, in fact. So I don't know if that's coming out or not. Is it coming clear? Is it coming clear, or is it just going to zoom into my face? If I hide my face, does that work? Don't know. Basically, you got these little mini clusters. Again, you stick them on the bases, so it's got that Necron feel, and it's of course that Necron green, which we quite like for our Gorse weapons. But they've got plenty of other basing stuff. So head on over, the link will be down in the description below. That's Legion's 3D Printing. Yeah, check them out. But let's get into Orikan the Diviner. So the rear side of the data card, we've got an 80-point model. It used to be 100 points, so 20 points cheaper, and it's definitely much better this edition. Just needs a bit of a model upgrade really, because it's got the old model. It's kind of ancient now. Unit composition is an epic hero, of course, and he's equipped with the Staff of Tomorrow. Cool. No other war gear. He's got the leader ability, so he can go with Immortals, Lichguard, Warriors, and you can also go with them even if there's a Royal Warden or a Noble in the unit. So that could be a Lord, a Necron Lord, or an Overlord rather, any of the named guys like Nemesis Andrek. He can go in with those, and you're going to gain the bonuses and buffs from both the characters, which is cool. Keywords: infantry character, epic hero, cryptech, which is quite important. And yeah, other than that, not much else to talk about on the rear side, so let's flip over to the front side. Going with the statistics, movement of 5-inch, toughness 4, 4 plus armor, 4 plus invulnerable save, 4 wounds. I believe he used to have 5. Did he used to have 5? I've not got it up on the screen. I think he had 5. I don't remember him having 4. Either way, he's got 4 now. Leadership 6 plus, and the OC is 1. Quite low object control, but really we're not using him for that. It's the unit that he's in that's going to be doing all that stuff, so not too big of a deal. Now let's talk about the melee weapon that he's got, the Staff of Tomorrow. And while we're talking about it, I'll also break into one of the abilities because they kind of go together. But yeah, Staff of Tomorrow, it has devastating wounds. In the 9th edition, it used to just ignore invulnerable saves. Now it's dev wounds, which has been nerfed, of course. Again, we'll come back to that in a moment. 2 attacks, weapon skill 3 plus, strength 4, minus 3 AP, and the damage is D3. So very odd weapon because not many attacks. Not that strong, very low strength. AP is really high, minus 3 AP. That's really high, especially that we've had an AP reset this edition. You'd expect sort of minus 1 or minus 2, and the damage is D3, so it's a little bit. Sometimes you get the 1, sometimes you get 3, whatever. But yeah, you got dev wounds on top of that, which is for a critical wound roll, and it's very important that it's a critical wound rather than a wound roll of a 6, because it makes a very big difference in a moment. So the ability on the right hand side, we'll skip the other stuff for the moment. The stars are right ability is where you want to be looking at. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. And if it does at the end of the phase, until the end of the phase, triple the attacks, the strength, well, the attacks and the strength characteristics of the Staff of Tomorrow's characteristics. And for every successful wound roll, it will score a critical wound. So as soon as you roll to wound and you're rolling, well, bearing in mind that you are strength 12 now, because in fact we should go over that. What is our strength, what is our attacks? We've got 6 attacks now, we're now strength 12 because we're tripling those characteristics. All we need to do is just roll to wound. As soon as you get a wound roll, it will cause a critical wound. And what the critical wounds roll, what do? They cause devastating wounds, because that's what the ability has in the Start for Tomorrow. So even if it's a 2 to wound and you roll a 2, that will still cause a dev wound. That's kind of crazy really when you've got 6 attacks. Now of course, like I said, it used to ignore invulnerable saves. In fact, he used to have a weird kind of ability. Well, it was the same ability, but he used to have to roll against the battle round number, and it very rarely came off. And even if it did, it was kind of late game, because you had to roll less than the battle round number. So it never kind of worked. And either that or he was already dead at that stage. So now this is kind of cool, because you get to select when you're doing it, which battle round. And if you've been charged by an enemy character, you can go bang, here we go, 6 attacks, strength 12, and all wounds are dev wounds. Now of course, devastating wounds has been nerfed in the meta watch recently, because it doesn't go into mortal wounds, so therefore it won't spill onto the next model and the next model and so on. It will only go on to the one model per attack. So if you score 3 with the D3 damage, and it's only a 2 wound model, all 3 of those wounds, if you like, or the damage will go onto that model and be wasted, or one of them will be wasted. So it's not going to spill onto the next model, if that makes any sense. So it's slightly less useful than it used to be. But if you're going up against a larger vehicle, a monster, a character even, with loads of wounds, and you pop this ability off, you're going to do a lot of work. It's really good, really useful. Now let's go back a step. It's got the reanimation protocols, of course, which is nice. And Master Chronomancer gives the entire unit he's leading a 4+ invulnerable save. That will, of course, also include other units that have joined this unit, other models that have joined this unit, such as maybe a Necron Lord, maybe the Cryptothralls. They will also gain the invuln save, because it's just the models in the unit. So yeah, that is pretty much the front side of the data card. There was another ability he used to have, in fact, I've got it in my notes. It was the ability to fight first at the start of the fight phase. Unfortunately, he's lost that. That would have been cool to keep, especially for Lichguard. But hey, we'll move on into the synergy side of this data card. So of course, he's a leader for the 3 main units in this actual codex, or index: Immortals, Lichguard, and Warriors. And while he's going to be joining those units, he's going to be providing command protocols, which is our current detachment. We've only got the one at the moment. Of course, the codex is coming out probably the end of the year, if not January. I'm not entirely sure when. We will be getting more detachments, maybe 5 more, maybe 6 more. We don't really know. So we won't be using command protocols. Maybe we'll be using something else. Or you just stick to the Awakened Dynasty. Hey, it's still pretty good. But yeah, a +1 to the hit rolls at range or in melee, or both. And you're going to get the 4+ invulnerable save, as we mentioned already. Now the one time you don't want to be using Orikan the Diviner is when you're taking Lichguard with the swords and shields. They already come stock with an invulnerable save. There's absolutely no reason to take him for that unit. You may as well just take a Technomancer. We'll get onto that comparison in a moment anyway. Other units or other characters that you could take, again, a Necron Overlord, because he's a noble, you can do that. With the Resurrection Orb, you can be using reanimation protocols for the unit in your opponent's command phase. So that, on top of the invulnerable save that Orikan provides, is nice. It is nice. You can also use the Cryptek Retinue ability that the what they call the Cryptothralls. I'm trying to get my words out. The Cryptothralls have. So they are also allowed to join this unit. They will join the bodyguard unit, so they're not joining as characters, they're joining the bodyguard unit, and they'll be a part of the warriors or the Lichguard or the immortal unit. You then got the reanimator, of course, that assists with more defense, which is kind of what this guy is about really. It's about defense. The 4+ invulnerable save is another line of defense, but the reanimator provides you with the D3 additional reanimation protocols wounds when you're going to be getting them back. That's the main sort of highlights in terms of synergy, from unit synergy anyway. We've then got some of the actual stratagems. You've got the protocol of Eternal Guardian, so you can pop him back up if he does get destroyed, and he will be coming back with half the amount of wounds he's got, so he'll come back with 2 wounds. But that could be a real important factor, because maybe your opponent had precision and they struck him down, and now all of a sudden you've lost your invuln save for your Necron warriors. So you bring him back, he's still alive, and you've still got the invuln save on all your warriors. That could be a major swing really, just by keeping him up. You've got the Protocol of Hungry Void, which you can add 1 to the strength characteristics of melee weapons in the entire unit, so that will put him on strength 5, but if you're using the tripling attacks thingy, that will put him to strength 13. So that could help against toughness 12. You're wounding them on 3s. You'll also get an extra bit of AP as well, in fact, because there's a character leading the unit. So it'll actually be at -4 AP, which is pretty nasty. So what are we doing with Orikan? What are we doing, and what are we talking about in terms of the Technomancer? Because that is something that we have to bring up in this conversation, in this video. First of all, he's going with the Warriors, he's going with the Lich Guard, he's going with the Immortals. If you're going with the Warriors, your damage output is low with Warriors. Even though they've got lethal hits, they're not really there to be doing the damage. They're there to sit and clog the no man's land and simply not die. There's not that many units that are kitted out to destroy an entire brick of Necron Warriors, especially if you're using all the defense mechanisms correctly. The Ghost Arc, the Resurrection Orbs, the Canoptic Reanimator, Protocol of Undying Legions, Orikan the Diviner is one, the Crypto Thralls. If you're using them all correctly and in the correct order, then they shouldn't really go down that often, really. That's option 1. Option 2 is the Immortals. I mean, they've got a better toughness of toughness 5. They've got a better armor save of a 3+. You get less of them because the max unit is 10 and not 20. Now, I tend to not use Orikan with Immortals. I think it doesn't go that well, but giving them a 4+ invulnerable save is still pretty good, especially for toughness 5. But the shining sort of light here is the Lich Guard. They've also got toughness 5 with the 3-up armor. If you're taking them, obviously not with the Sword and Shields because they've got the invuln, do not do that. But if you're taking the War Scythes, you're still taking the Strength 8 weapon, which is high AP, high damage. That's a great option to take Orikan in, because now you're still gaining the invuln save. So it's kind of having the best of both worlds. You've got the you haven't got the shields, but it feels like you've got the shields because you've got the invuln saved. That's one of the better options to do. You're likely going to be adding a noble of some sort to one of these units if you're taking Orikan anyway. Again, for the Resurrection Orb, maybe you're using it for CP, maybe it's Imitek the Stormlord, maybe it is just an Overlord with the My Will Be Done, which has been nerfed as well. So you're likely going to have double leaders. I think his stars aligned ability is definitely underrated and definitely can catch people out. Because if they just look at his stats and it's like, strength 4, 2 attacks, he's not doing much in melee. Most of the Cryptex don't anyway. And then you just empower him and all of a sudden he's a bit of an animal. It's pretty cool. But let's talk about the Technomancer for a moment, because that is a key. It's competition for Orikan. I personally think the Technomancer is better, and here's why. I mean, at the start of the edition, I thought Orikan was better, but once you start to play some games, of course, you start to realise, you know what? I think the Technomancer is better. The Technomancer provides an additional save with a 5+ Feel No Pain save. Yes, a 5+ is worse than a 4+, of course, but it's an additional save. So, for example, if you've got Necron Warriors, which are the weakest of the 3 options in terms of a save and toughness, they've got a 4+ armor save. So let's say there's -1 AP on your opponent's weapons, it puts them on a 5+ armor save, doesn't it? So you've got a 5+ armor save, and then on top of that you've got a 5+ Feel No Pain save. So there's 2 chances of blocking out damage. Whereas if you've got the invuln save and it's a 4-up, you don't get the original armor save because it overwrites the armor save. So now you just have one single roll, but it's a 4-up. So I don't know the exact maths of that. I mean, that probably does equal out. But the Technomancer is, well, cheaper, first of all, because he's only 60 points, whereas Orikan is 80 points. Second of all, he can be buffing up other units nearby with the Canoptic Control Node for +1 to their hit rolls, which is like having the Sovereign Corona in a way, but for your Canoptic units. Also, he can be healing some units nearby with his Technomancer ability as well, whereas Orikan doesn't really do that. Now, of course, the Technomancer isn't going to fight in the way that this guy does, Orikan. He's not got that super buffed ability, but if you're going with Warriors or Immortals even, you don't really want to be fighting in engagement range. You can do it, and you can pull out the Hungry Void stratagem, and maybe you've got Luminazares nearby, and all of a sudden you're quite good in melee, even though you're a Warrior unit. But most of the time they don't want to be in a fight, they want to be shooting from range and just holding ground. So that's where I think the Technomancer works better. And of course with the Sword and Shield Lich Guard, that's a definite, that's 100% you take the Technomancer over Orikan, because again, Orikan already provides the invuln. The shields provide the invuln, you don't need an additional invuln, you may as well have a Feel No Pain save as well as the invuln save. That's pretty good. That's probably the best and most safest option at this moment. Lich Guard with the sword and shields, or the 20-man warrior brick with all the bells and whistles, but both options are now quite expensive. Lich Guard have gone up in points, the Crypto Thralls have gone up in points, Warriors went down in points, I believe, but they were always quite expensive. When you got 20 warriors, you got the Overlord or Lord, Orikan the Diviner, maybe a Ghost Dart, maybe a Reanimator. It does get quite pricey. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that part in here because I thought it was quite an important comparison to make with this video. But yeah, let's get on to our Planet 40k rating for Orikan the Diviner. Now, I originally had him as S tier in my big tier list, but since doing that tier list, I think I've not used him as often because I just prefer the Technomancer. That doesn't mean to say Orikan's bad, because he's really not. He's really not at all. So I am going to push him down slightly, but I don't know how far down I'm going to go with this. Am I going to go with a 4-star? I'm going to go with a 4.5-star. Technomancer definitely up there, isn't it? So I'm going to go with a Planet 40k rating of 4-star.